couple questions and we'll just see where they take us. Okay. So the first thing is, what are some of the challenges that you have brought to coaching?
Well, first and foremost, I came to you because I heard your podcast and I fell in love because I heard it from the very first episode and I loved how vulnerable you were in saying, I kind of don't know what this is going to sound like. I loved it because you were kind of speaking out loud the things that probably goes through everyone's heads. And I was already like, I love this chick. She's pretty cool. But I came to you because yeah, you were going through the same things I kind of felt I was. And I brought that to coaching because as a new coach, I was very self-conscious about starting out and how that would change my identity, if it would, coming from another career background, and even still maintaining that through my infancy as a coach, and worrying about how my identity could change if this became more successful than that. Even now, I know I was getting ahead of myself, but you have all of these thoughts that you have to sort out. And that was my big thing, I think, is dealing with the identity issue of how I would balance those two careers and all of the things that come with it.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting because, like every time we start something new, we become more of who we are, right? So isn't it interesting that we think that it's going to change, and then there's always the subtext, and it's going to be for the worse, and it's going to be so much harder, right? Then going, oh, this is something that I'm adding to my life. And that means that I'm going to be even more of me, an even more embodied human version of myself. I wonder
Yeah, and I
why.
think that was the worry for me because my way of thinking wasn't necessarily I'm becoming more of me. It was, what if I become a different me? And what's wrong with that? um, but but that was what I had to sort out in my head because I did love, and I still love the person that I am in my current career. And who do I need to be this coach now? And how is one going to affect the other? So yeah, I don't think I was, and you pointed that out to me in our coaching, that it can be an and situation. It doesn't have to be or.
Yeah. Yeah. We put these boundaries around ourselves and what we think we're capable of. So what was it about the coaching that helped you move through this? And what made the coaching effective?
Um, Talking through those thoughts in my head and having them kind of repeated back to me, I could see how almost nonsensical they were, or how I made them bigger than what they were, or they meant something that didn't have to necessarily. I know I'm kind of being vague. I'm not sure if I'm clarifying this,
But
but
it's a weird question. So like, it's fine. We'll just kind of work through it. Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah. No, I mean, you always make the things bigger in your head than what they are. So we could kind of parse those out, and I could see how this thing I was turning into a big situation was actually just like just take little steps. And it
Yeah.
wasn't a big bite. They could just be little bites. And if I just changed my thought a little bit, it solved the problem.
Yeah, and keeping in mind that it's not the first time you've had a successful career and transitioned, right? Like, it's not like this is the only time you've ever done this. You've been through at least 3 careers that I know of, and successful in all of them. And that's kind of part of the fun of it, right? Like that, finding that something new. It just reminds me of your little critter behind you, the one that's kind of like your inner critic. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like, what do you call him again? I can't remember his name.
Oh, he's Fred the Fear Monster.
Fred the Fear Monster. Yeah. So like, that's just the way we all are, right? It's that thing just chitter chatters in our brain and takes up all this space. And for me too, with coaching, that's what I find is that I'm like, oh, like I've been spending a lot of mental energy on this, whatever problem or challenge or thing. And then it's like, oh, that's it. It's just those few little thoughts. And when I take them out of my head and look at them and talk to somebody about them, I realize that they're like, it's like it's not as big of a deal as I was making it out to be.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about the outcomes. What are some of the outcomes and how have you transformed as a result of coaching?
Oh man. I mean, I feel like I still have work to do, and thank goodness you're here. But I feel like I've come a long way from where I started, in that um I feel like I have a lot more courage to approach the things I might not have before. Um, there was a situation recently that we talked about where I had a lot of imposter syndrome about something that I didn't think I was ready for or was qualified to do as a newish coach. And you said, just do it. You know, I think you're more of an expert than you think you are. You can talk about this, you know. Um, and I did it. And I think the old me would have like come down with a cold. You know, like
Yeah.
you know what? I can't handle this situation. I'm just gonna back off. And it would have been easy, you know, in like COVID times to be like, I'm sorry, I can't do it today. Um, but I think when I talked it out with you, I was like, yes, I am ready for this. And it turned out awesome. And I think I realized that um if I just did the thing, I realized that it wasn't a problem, you know, um, that I can handle most situations. So yes, it made me more brave. Um, yes, of course, I still felt a lot of imposter syndrome going in, but you know, everyone experiences that. And I just set that aside and just went for it. So I'm definitely more brave. And just knowing that if, as long as I put myself in a position to like serve people and not put the spotlight so much on me, what are they going to think of me? What are they seeing about me? What are they going to ask me? You know, I just put it to them and how can I help them? And it kind of turns things around.
Yeah, that's a big deal. And I think that that's one of the important things as a coach too, is to remember that it's mostly not about us. You know, we're kind of more of a facilitator than anything. And I just also want to say about imposter syndrome, because it's like, I mean, everybody dances with that partner, especially high achievers. You know, so those of us who think, oh my God, I've got imposter syndrome, something is wrong. It actually just means that, yeah, come along for the ride, right? Just, you're going to be here. Let's just ride this together and we'll see how we do. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that people think they can overcome it or conquer it or battle it. You know, there's a lot of this kind of energy about imposter syndrome, and avoiding it and fighting it makes it stronger instead of just going, well, you can sit in the back seat, put your seatbelt on, you know, don't yell at me while I'm driving and doing stuff, but you're still in the car. You just don't have to be driving and holding that wheel. So
Mhm.
maybe we can just wrap it up with the idea and the question about, what are your thoughts on the value of working with a coach? And specifically because you are a coach, you know, so a coach getting coached, it's a tongue twister, and also being a coach. So what are your thoughts on the value of working with a coach?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think everyone could benefit from working with a coach. So there's that. Life coaches need their own coaches, because I think we do get into those situations where there is a lot of thoughts going through our own heads about what we're doing and how we appear to others, and all the things that go with that. But especially for coaches, we need our headspace clear more than anyone, so that we can then turn around and serve our clients. So, and it overflows into our own personal lives as well. I mean, yes, I came to you for coaching as a coach, but I can't tell you how many times and all the different ways I've then used those skills to, speak to my son in a way he'll understand. I'll be more mindful of his thoughts and feelings, and how I react to my husband, with our house being a mess, and beer cans everywhere. But yeah, so it's helped me, especially in clearing out the clutter that's necessary to do our jobs well.
Yeah. And I love that, the ripple effect. And we just never know, right? Like, we never know how one slight change in how we think or what we do, or how we kind of pause before we respond. We don't know the far reaching effects of that. Like, if you have a slightly different conversation with your son or your husband, their day is maybe just that little bit better, and then they don't turn around and snap at somebody. And then, not to mention that it makes your home feel more like a home, more like, we're in this together, instead of more struggle and stress, right? Like, which is pretty common in most families at all times, no matter what the age, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's completely changed the conversation around the house. I mean, when you shift from being so reactive about everything and take the time to just say, well, how are you feeling about this? The answer is probably going to be something unexpected. And then you can approach it from that angle. With a 9-year-old boy, well, maybe my opinion will change in the teenage years, but for now, it's super helpful.
Yeah. And just in that instant, all you did was you listened, right? Which is like exactly the coach skill that is the most powerful. You asked him, and then you listened to him. And it can be that fast. It's amazing. That's one of the amazing things about coaching, for sure.